How good are NIO's abilities in the area of autonomous driving? This is what this video is all about. And of course, we don't have too much news around this or updates and insights. And the reason for that is, of course, that in Q4 only the software will be released, which will be a subscription-based service around those autonomous driving functionalities, which will be iterative. So it's meaning a couple of functionalities will be kind of released in the beginning, and then from time to time they will gradually increase to a so-called L4 autonomous driving system. Of course, that's only for their latest hardware, and that's the ET7, soon the ET5, and also the ES7 that will be released also within this year. Those cars have this latest hardware, including the LiDAR, but also the different cameras, and most importantly, the compute power to process this stuff. And this clip that you can see here is the Chinese state TV talking about NIO and this new platform with the ET7 that has just come out, and also is interestingly highlighting the guy behind it, Ren Shaoqing, which I featured on this channel a couple of times. He basically invented the algorithms for image recognition, and is a renowned scientist in this area, and he is leading the NIO autonomous driving team and actually putting all of those things together. So this is him, very young guy, as you can see, talking on the state TV about the situation of the hardware and the software. Now, just the other day, there was an interesting video coming out by 42How, so that's number 42 or 42 Mark, a Chinese website which is usually testing cars, and they have been comparing Tesla Model 3 or Tesla in general in China, as well as Li Auto, Xpeng, and NIO in terms of their autonomous capabilities. And as you can see, this is a 30 minutes video, very in detail, and they've been testing all of the systems very thoroughly, running different exit ramps and overtaking and different routes here. You can watch it. I will actually link it down below the video. The essence is that in the test you can see that the Xpeng and Li Auto came out on top, and mainly that is the conclusion here by the tests, because they have something called HD mapping. So they're relying heavily on using maps in order to navigate, and this is increasing the accuracy and just making those systems currently much more reliable, whereas NIO and Tesla seem to be more relying on a vision-based approach, which means they are not navigating only by those pre-mapped and this way also closed systems. They may use the maps as some sort of support in the backend in order to determine where they are and where they're going, using location systems, using maps, using GPS, of course. But then much more focus on actually the vision system, so meaning the cameras detecting what is going on and what are objects in the way. And interestingly, in this test, as I mentioned, like Li Auto and Xpeng came in on top, but then next was actually NIO before even the Tesla autopilot. And so that's for the current system. So that's not even based on the latest hardware of the NIO autonomous driving functionality. This is more NIO Pilot, so that's based on the old hardware. And I gotta say that, these Chinese tests can be quite special in terms of how they're rating the outcome. So, they have very, very distinct stuff that they're watching in terms of, how soon the car is slowing down before taking an off-ramp, how smooth it is, and how lots of things are about Weixian, like the safety of the car. The Chinese drivers are caring a lot about how safe the system feels, and so Tesla is not really getting the best marks in there, and you gotta read this a little bit with caution. So it doesn't mean that Tesla is a bad system. At least it seems in China they are not running the latest technology that they have in terms of what you can see, for example, in some of those full self-driving videos that appear, and those full self-driving beta software is only accessible in the US so far, right? So that's the latest technology. So you gotta be aware that in China, Tesla is still reliant on their normal autopilot software, and yeah, maybe not as localized as some of these Chinese names there. And yeah, interestingly though, here this differentiation a little bit between Xpeng, Li Auto, more geared towards the mapping, and then NIO and Tesla more relying on actually the algorithms and the software-based intuition, if you can say it like that. And specifically in the tests, they're also mentioning that they see that the NIO system has improved greatly over time. So they could do stuff now that they couldn't have done just a couple of months ago. So you see, the software system is iterating and improving. But as I've mentioned, this cannot be the measure of what's in store for the future of NIO there, because this is on the old hardware, meaning the old sensors, the old hardware with less compute power. There's no LiDAR, and so it doesn't really reflect the latest development of NIO there. But of course, the ET7 is now also on the road, so the first customers have received their cars, and so we see some videos emerging, and so I will continuously update you here with the latest developments in terms of this, actually what is leading to NIO autonomous driving, and based on this latest hardware. And so here are a couple of first insights. So here you can see this a video clip that's obviously in Chinese with the so-called 1.00B. So I guess the B stands for a beta software here. And let's look at some of the capabilities here, or some of the insights that we get from this clip. So the video starts with talking about the fact that they're using the ET7, but of course they don't have the full software capabilities yet, because the car just came out. It's the first version of the software. It's possibly not making use of all of the functionalities of the hardware in terms of compute power, camera and LiDAR system. But in this test, they want to find out, like, where are the differences to the old version already. And they say basically that the most important one, which they recognize so far, is that the car can actually look a little bit further ahead, so you can see very detailed recognition of what is happening in the traffic. It seems the car can recognize this in a further distance even, and has a very, very detailed object recognition there, which obviously also benefits in a later point, what the car can use in order to compute and have the algorithms in order for reach level 4 capabilities at some point. It should also be better at recognizing objects that are not moving, and that's usually a very big problem for the autopilot systems that are currently on the market, because oftentimes they have really problems to recognize those objects, and that could be something on the street which is actually not moving, and then you could crash into it. But it seems that this system is able to recognize that. They also ran a test in a more city traffic environment, and comparing it to the ES6, where with the current system it seems, because of the object recognition is a bit better, then if a car cuts into the lane, it's just recognizing that and hasn't got an issue with that, while with the old system it would usually lead to an abortion of the system, and actually that a car driver has to manually take over. In that case, that wasn't a problem. It also seems like that the current system is pretty good operating at higher speeds and recognizing, for example, smaller objects like a cyclist here, and also in terms of the visualization, giving a much more clear announcement to the driver, and also recognizing if the object is kind of in a safe distance or not, then slowing down, and also using green and red colors to highlight if something is dangerous or not. So this is one of those differences that they have found comparing it to the previous software iterations. Then in terms of taking some of the on-ramps, off-ramps, or driving curves, it seems like the current system is not really better yet, or even performing worse at the current stage. So the driver, it seems, had to take over the car at this current test and operate it manually again, while actually this is something that the older system already is able to do with the current software. So it seems that there still needs to be some software development to be done on the ET7 and some future updates in order to make those situations operate better. And then another example where currently the ET7 is not performing as good, even not as good as the previous system with the ES6, not recognizing those obstacles here on the street, so they don't even show up on the visuals. Whereas if you compare it even with the older system here on the right side, the ES6, this one is actually recognizing the objects on the street, the street cones here, and is able to deal with the situation, whereas the ET7 is currently not able to do that, and of course should be able to do that with the better hardware, but it seems to be a software issue at the current stage. So you can see with the ET7 currently there still seems to be lots of work to be done for NIO to even catch up with their old system. It seems already to have some advantages when it comes to the recognition of objects, so on the visual side, but it seems to not make fully use yet of all of the hardware and software capabilities. And so possibly this is all still work to be done and to be finished before actually releasing the latest iteration in Q4 or the first iteration of the software subscription of NIO Autonomous Driving. It should at least be able to catch up with those situations that we've seen here with the older system and then have those various improvements in other areas. But in the future, of course, with this hardware, the ET7, the ET5 and the ES7 should actually be able to increasingly get better and better with each of the iteration and new software updates, something similar that we are seeing with Tesla FSD in America, where they are having continuous improvements and the system is learning to deal with the various situations on the road. And of course, Tesla is not having those functionalities, it seems, in China yet. That's still another point that we have to follow, at which point they are actually able to bring such kind of functionalities also to China. NIO, of course, will be starting from China and will have those frequent updates starting there before actually also bringing them global and overseas. But we will see how this can actually also compete with Tesla and also the other systems which are more reliant even on this closed geofenced mapping and relying on those 3D mappings like Xpeng and Li Auto. We will see which kind of approach wins out. I'm quite confident that NIO will show some very interesting progress here in the next coming months. There is not too much information about that yet available, so I thought this is hopefully insightful for what's the situation currently in China, especially with NIO's new system there. And I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to like this video if you found this information valuable. Please consider to become a patron to support this channel. And then, as always, see you in the next video and enjoy the rest of your weekend.